And welcome back to another episode of Both Sides Now, where we'll get some great stories behind some fantastic songs. And with me on the sofa today, all the way from Strabane, we've got the lovely Emer Maguire. Hello.
How are you? How's it going?
All right. And yourself?
I'm good. I feel like a frog, so I didn't actually come from Strabane today. I just came from up the road. But yes, I'm from the great land of Strabane, the metropolis.
I should have said Harold from Strabane, now a Belfast local, isn't that right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I'm still definitely getting the Strabaneness coming through in the old accent.
I like to give out the Strabane vibes. Very proud.
I know. I mean, I'm born and bred in Lurgan, and I don't think you should ever forget where you come from. I mean, we could go to that mid-Atlantic accent, couldn't we, Emer, and talk like we're on the BBC?
I don't think I could. I don't think I'd be allowed back into Strabane. I think there would be a bit of an uproar about that. But that was quite good. I don't even think I could manage it.
Oh, I can do it very well.
That was very good. Nice husky tones there too.
So, Emer, singer, songwriter, musician, you're a speech therapist as well, isn't that correct? You do a lot of corporate, you basically do everything, don't you? Fill us in.
Not everything, unfortunately, according to my partner, but I do a lot of work. Yes, I do a lot of different things. So I was a speech and language therapist up until about a year ago, and I worked with kids and adults with variety of communication, swallowing difficulties. And then I left that a year ago to go full-time, whatever this career is. Uh-huh. So I do kind of a mix of things that all sound like they're not real jobs, but once you put them together, they kind of are.
Some of its parts.
Yeah, exactly. So I do science communication, which is, I talk to the general public about science, get them interested in it through like radio and festivals and all that kind of thing. And then I do, I've always been a singer-songwriter ever since I was a child, so
well, that was going to be my next question. You're preempting me here, but your songs definitely have a comedic sort of, value to them. Yeah. Is that intentional, or did that just happen, or are you just naturally a deadly funny person, so you find that it makes its way into your music?
Well, like I said, I mean, like a lot of musicians, I've always been musical. I've always been interested in music. I've always wanted to write music, and whenever kids were kind of playing and playing house or whatever, I was writing songs when I was 5, 6, 7, learning instruments and that kind of thing. And I was actually a normal musician.
What does that mean? I've never met a normal musician.
I know, you're right. Actually, I was a standard musician writing songs about life and
love,
heartbreak and love and all that there. And I was going to gigs and playing the songs, and they were songs, like real songs about heartbreak and songs just about devastation. And people were coming up to me after the gigs and being like, "Oh, I absolutely love your stuff. Like, your songs are hilarious. Like, this is so funny." And I was like, I don't know if that's a compliment or if that's like an insult, because they weren't meant to be funny, And then people kept saying, just the way you use the words, like, so different, like, it's quirky. And I was like, right, well, and that kept happening over and over. So I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna try and write funny songs. So I just totally switched into writing musical comedy. So now all of my songs are comedy.
And you don't find people coming up saying that song wasn't funny when it was supposed to be funny? Because wouldn't it be horrible if it was the other way around? I
think I would die. So that hasn't happened yet. But it is. I think I was kind of pushed in this direction, but maybe that's what I was meant to do. I think it maybe, like, I'm not a very serious person. I am serious about work, but I'm not really, like, I'm jovial. Like, I like the crack. Like, I'm laid back. I love laughing. Love good sense of humor and all that kind of thing. So I think this really, really suits me.
Yeah.
And it's basically, I feel like it's kind of my personality, set the music a bit, really.
Well, you've had a smile on your face since you walked through the door, so it's definitely working. Something's working. We're going to see you in action here now, Emer. Tell us the crack behind this. Oh, you're on the piano.
I am.
Where are you there then?
So that is me at the Ulster Hall. I did a big show in the Ulster Hall as soon as the pandemic kind of, well, not that it finished, but the restrictions lifted. That was my first big show.
Uh-huh.
And that is me currently in a state of inner terror, having to play in the Ulster Hall. And it was the first gig that I ever played piano at as well, you know.
right?
Yeah, because I didn't have piano as part of my act, and I just thought,
And is
you
it a
know.
completely solo gig on your own?
Oh yeah,
on
completely
you,
solo
woman.
on my own. I kind of, you know, at the start of the pandemic, all my work was cancelled and everything, and you know, I had only really started my comedy career, and I just thought, you know what, I wonder if I could just book a big gig and see the crack, and sure, you know, I'll see what happens. So booked that, and then, you know, I was terrified for a year in the run up to it because of I get quite a lot of stage fright and things like that, and then I turned up to it, and it was absolutely packed out, and it was honestly it was the best night of my life, and it did a lot for my confidence.
I was going to
as
say,
well.
did that set the ball rolling for you then? Just you dived in, go for it.
100%, because during the pandemic, I don't know if there were other creatives or whatever like this. During the pandemic, I was thinking, have I made a terrible decision to leave my
Your
career, you know,
proper job?
my real
Yeah.
job, you know, my actual
Absolutely.
real job, and like, you know, what am I going to do now? And like, what if by the time it's over, like, nobody thinks I'm funny anymore? Or like, what if I forget how to play guitar? Like, you know, what if this was all like a dream and I just, you know, so.
Actually, no, I've heard that said quite a lot because we've been doing quite a few of
Totally.
these programs, and the loss of confidence for
Yeah,
women in
massive.
particular as well, it has been huge. And you know that it's nearly philosophical. You know that, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Sitting here writing songs. You know
Yeah.
what?
And like, who wants to listen to me? Like, you know, who wants to listen to my
every
songs?
woman that has come in and sat on that
you know?
sofa, they've
Yeah.
all said exactly the
Yeah.
same thing. So that it's really startling the lack of confidence. But then, you know, yourself, once you get back on it, once you start doing it again, because look, here's the thing. Writing music's in you. I don't think it's something you can turn away from. Otherwise, you're completely
No,
miserable.
that's true. That's true. Yeah.
So it's not as if it's a choice sometimes. I think when
Yeah.
music's in you or creativity's in you, it's got to get out, hasn't it? Otherwise, you can end up in all sorts of trouble, I think, with depression and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah,
Or if you're not following who you
I think
are.
that's true, and I think the fact for me that I started writing music so young, like that was always my hobby, and I was it always sounds so ironic, I think, when I say it out loud, because I'm a comedian and a performer, but off stage, like, I am quite shy, you know, and things like that, and I was a horrendously shy child,
Emer.
and I felt like music was such an escape,
Again,
you know.
every woman on the sofa comes in and says the same thing. It's nearly like you're living some type of dual life. It's like you're an extrovert introvert, and then people they must say to you, because they said to me all the time, how can you be so all jazz hands on stage, but you're desperately shy off stage?
Yeah.
Because I mean, my biggest fear in the world is small talk.
Oh,
I can't cope with it, right? And people say, how are you, you know, and I go, no, man, I'm scared to death. And they go, how do you get up on stage and do that and then be afraid of going for coffee?
But you know what, though, people, and I know this from, you know, my time in speech and language therapy, and looking at how people communicate, and, you know, cognitive communication, all that kind of thing, social communication, it is much easier if you're shy and if you have a little bit of a social awkwardness, we'll say, like, I've got a song called Socially Awkward. If you're that kind of personality, it's much easier to present a character to a group than it is for an intense one-on-one small talk conversation.
agree.
Like, that's just how it works. And a lot of people who, you know, feel very comfortable with their social communication, all that, totally great one-on-one, but couldn't present to a stage. So they're two very, very different skills.
Thanks.
But for people who are shy and people who do find it difficult, it's almost like, I mean, I'm certainly a character on stage, you know,
It's a performance.
It's a performance, and people have come to talk to me before, you know, I do lots of talks and things like
Be
this.
funny.
Be funny, yeah. People come to talk to me afterwards, and there have been quite a lot of times when, you know, they're kind of looking at me as if, you know, like, perform, you know,
perform.
and I'm very quiet
Yeah.
and shy, and they've said, you know, God, you're very different off stage, like, you're
Yeah.
very quiet, and I'm like, I know, because it's a character,
So
you know, it's a
many
character.
artists that come through this door say exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
It is a character, and then you find as a result that you're absolutely exhausted at the end of the night because
Or
you're
you're totally
having to
drained.
perform.
Yeah, yeah.
There you go. Fantastic. I can't wait to hear the social awkwardness song. So here's my question anyway. You know that this programme is about stories behind the songs. Now, I heard a wee tidbit behind this song. So I want you to tell me what the name of the song is and what the story behind the song is.
Okay, so the song I'm going to play is called Middle Child. And the reason I'm going to play that is because it's one of the first comedy songs that I wrote when I was kind of toying with the idea of trying to be funny on purpose. And the reason that I have written it is because, you know, there are 4 of us in my family, I have 4 kids. I'm the second, and I'm very close to my siblings, but I'm also really interested in like behaviour psychology and all those kind of things. And I alongside this stuff at the minute, I'm a researcher, so I'm really into behaviour and things. So I have always had an interest in how we grow up and nature versus nurture and all that. And it really blows my mind that there are 4 of us and we are all totally
completely
different people. Like, we couldn't be any more different. So I started looking into, you know, where your position in the family affects your behaviour. And, you know, it's
Will
obviously...
you have a cup of coffee with me later? Because somebody needs to talk me through it.
Give you a bit of free therapy for
Please.
all your siblings. But it's kind of, you know, we all know that there's a stereotypical oldest child, you know, and sensible, and they lead the way, and responsible, exactly. Same in my family, you know. My big sister, you know, she's sensible. She's always been the most sensible out of all of us. You know, she's always been the most parent-like in the sibling. And then I've got 2 brothers, but my baby brother's always very much the baby. You know, the baby's like the golden boy.
He's ruined, rotten.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then there's 2 of us in the middle. And now, you know, obviously I'm looking for attention because I'm a performer.
Yes.
Because, you know, middle children don't get as much attention. And my other brother was the one of us the other middle child who kind of floated more through his school and his career and all that than the rest of us. We were all more specific about what we were going to do. Well, I guess I wasn't, but the oldest and the youngest were very specific about what they're going to do, you know, whereas me and my brother were a wee bit more directionless, you know, and apparently that's a middle child trait. But I started looking up things about how your position in the family affects you, and I found that being a middle child, you're more likely to do things like be an activist, to kind of fight injustice because you've suffered that.
And is it an attention? Are you doing stuff to get the attention of the family?
I think it's possibly like a subconscious. And I always thought middle child syndrome was a myth, right? But there's a psychologist who has clarified, no, it's not a myth. It's a real thing. There is an impact on middle children, and obviously this is all very jovial and take the hand and everything. But there is science behind it, you know. 100%. And great studies to say you're more likely, obviously, to be an activist, as I said. Like, you're more likely to do things that are beyond impressive. Like over half of the US presidents have been middle children. Do you know what I mean? Like, which is pretty cool. And you're more likely to be social because you had to, you know, be social between all the siblings. And I'm definitely, even though I'm shy, you know, my siblings are much shyer than me. I'm definitely the most social amongst us. And
do they become peacekeepers? I find a lot of middle children are peacekeepers.
Yeah, so there's a great study that says you are more likely to be a peacekeeper and have better negotiation skills because, you know, you're negotiating between everybody. And
you're preaching to the converted with me, like,
exactly.
You know,
so there is, you know, a lot behind it, and you're meant to have you're meant to be the most likely to have a flourishing career too. Not too sure my parents would agree with that one, given this right now. But, you know, there are so many things that are related to your position in the family, and I found it fascinating, so I wanted to stick in a song.
Oh my God, I can't wait to hear this. Would you take it away whenever you're ready? So this is what, middle child?
This is middle child. This is for all the people who are in pain and devastation right now. Middle child, if every time your mother smiled around you both knew she was thinking about the other 2. You know that you're the middle child. If when your family all played hide and seek, it was a week before they noticed you were gone at all. You know that you're the middle child. If every time your dad called your name without shame, you'd say Catherine, Mary, Connor, Sean, Sarah, Susan, Kira, John, Mary, Joseph, Toto, Ben. What's your name again? Middle children full of crippling self-doubt and jealous rage. Middle children unfairly disliked because of birth order and age. Will never understand why we're vilified. So we have our own kids and we hate our own middle child. You'll need to play this to your parents. You know that you're the middle child. If any time you ever cried, your mom took you aside and said, I'll give you something to cry about. Even though you've broken both your legs, your parents didn't really care, but they brought your sister to A&E when she got chewing gum in her hair. You know that they both laughed along and told you that it wasn't wrong. Middle children full of crippling self-doubt and jealous rage. Middle children unfairly disliked because of birth order and age, and will never understand why we're vilified until we have our own kids and we hate our own middle child. Your new theme song?
That's the best thing I've heard this year. I'm telling you, that is absolutely fantastic.
Oh, thank you so much.
Like you are singing my life story, I swear to God. And I know every middle child in this country is going to identify with that, every single one.
100%. Well, they'll be showing it to their parents, being like, look what you did to us.
And they would say the same thing, sure, and what did we do wrong? No harm done, and all this.
My mum said to me, I played this at a gig, and my mum was like, can you stop telling people those things? And I was like, why, but they're true. What do you mean? I stop telling people things.
Don't tell anybody
They're
your
true.
business outside your doors.
Exactly. Just keep it in the family. Don't be telling anybody,
You have a great gig coming up in November, isn't that right?
Yes.
Tell us about it.
I do. So I have kind of...
I'm actually crying.
You crying, you think, my parents don't love me. I have a gig coming up. It's a big solo gig. I had my first last year and this is my second one. So it's kind of new songs and everything. I'm really excited about it. It's in November. Towards the end of November, it is in the Mac in Belfast. And it's going to be a full big stand-up comedy show and a full kind of music extravaganza at the same time. I'm excited.
And so, web address, where will people find you? Or
yeah, you can get me kind of websites, Emer Maguire. Yep. That's it, so professional.
Yeah,
what a setup. EmerMaguire.com, and then you'll find me on kind of all the social medias if you just look up Emer Maguire. I kind of put up, videos and songs and clips from shows and things like that, so you can find everything online.
Fantastic. Emer, thank you so much for coming in. I haven't enjoyed myself this long time, I have to say. Maybe you'll come in some other time, will you?
100%.
Do you want to invite mad studio people?
Oh, definitely. I have to get right in that, but thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
It's been great. Thanks very much. So that's us for today, folks. What a great show that was. Join us next time on Both Sides Now for some more great women telling great stories.
Hello, my little friend, take it all away. Release the tension in me, let my troubles float away. Sunshine.